Hey everyone, Eddie Gray here. Getting my feed set up on the laptop. Bear with me. Of course, I'm probably talking to myself at this point. Deja vu. All right, got it muted. See if we got anybody in here yet. Hollywood Briar, welcome, and you are the first, sir. Nick Piper. Got some folks coming in. Arizona Jim. So, I got to apologize for looking so frumpy. I just missed my chance to pretty up. I had to go pick up my one of my kids from daycare and bring her home because my wife's at the dentist office, and that was not anticipated until the last minute. So, not prettied up. Benjamin, thanks for joining First Wednesday Night Lights. The Wednesday Night Lights is kind of a mythical thing still at this point. I haven't really committed to doing it every week. I was actually just talking to Phil at Briar Report about that over email. He's like, should I put this? Is this going to be a regular thing? Should I put it in my emails? And I'm like, probably not yet. I just don't know if I'll be able to keep up every week or not, but we'll see. We got lots of folks filing in now. Yeah, Hollywood Briar, I don't know if I'm not getting notifications from you or what, or from your channel through YouTube, but I haven't kind of lost touch with you there for a bit. So I'll have to try to remember to check out your channel. Doing good, NC Harley. Kirk from Florida. Oh, bear with me just a minute. I gotta do something off screen, but I'm tethered. I'll be right back. I had a couple of props I kind of wanted to share, maybe depending on how the old live stream goes. All right, let's see. I think that's it. Oh, you guys can see my ratty old chair. I've got a new chair on order, you guys. This one has served me well, but man, it's ugly at this point. That faux leather is just tearing up. Maybe I can get this in a better shot. It seems really wonky. Hard to say. We'll roll with that. We'll roll with that. Michael Schenker. Michael Schenkel. Let's see. Oh, H Mark, I appreciate that. I remember that email you sent me. Was it an email? I think so. If you can find it, I would love to have that. I'd probably try to find a way to put it right there, because that's usually empty space. Or I might put it where this cactus mountain picture is. But I'll definitely figure it out. Coming in fuzzy, you say? You talking about the video or my beard? Because it's definitely coming in fuzzy. So you guys, I'll probably do a lot of show and tell tonight. I don't really have anything else planned, but I'll show you what I'm drinking. I've been really drinking a lot of kombucha lately, and I mean almost every day. But this is a brand that I like. If you guys have any other kombucha brands you like, you can shout those out in the comments. But this Synergy kombucha is pretty good, but I prefer their lemon ginger, I think it's called, or ginger lemonade, something to that effect. Lemon gingerade, maybe that was it. Kombucha is fermented tea, and typically it's not sold as an alcoholic beverage, but there's a trace amount of alcohol in the mixture. See if this bottle even says. Typically it's like 0.5% to like 3%. So it's not considered an alcoholic beverage. But it has a similar effect in that it chills me out at night. And it's got way less calories. That's a big deal. So this is 16 ounces. Yep, 16 ounces. And it's 50 calories for the entire bottle. 50 calories. And you know, one 12-ounce beer is anywhere from 150 to 250 calories, depending on what you get. It ain't cheap, but it's much better for you than beer. So, there you go. I don't see where this says how much alcohol's in it. But I really enjoy it. This shirt, Jeffrey, I got from one of my kids. Well, we're kind of we're kind of sharing it. She got it as like a secret Santa at her school, and it fit me better than it fits her, at least at this point. So I figured I'd wear it. Am I still enjoying my Kenshi lighter? Yeah, I love that Kenshi lighter. I love all my Karibi lighters. I've got like 4 of them. I've only got 2 of them in front of me here, but I think this is, if I remember right, this is the Mikazuki, standard sized, and then the Kenshi is it's the same height, but it's almost half the width. The Kenshi lighter has been giving me a little bit of trouble lately. It's maybe 6 months old at this point, I would guess. But when I open it and I flick it, it doesn't want to light. But there's this tiny little thing right here where the butane comes out. I think I just need to clean it. I've been too lazy to do it. But when I kind of pop that down and back up, then it'll light. But anyway, that's my fault because I never clean my lighters. Basically, I'm doing testing, I guess, for you guys. Let's see how well pipes and lighters and what have you does when you don't clean them very well or very often. I use cheap Ronson fluid sometimes, and what else? My pipe tobacco I just leave out in the garage. I mean the West Parlor. So don't do what Eddie Don't does, and you'll be better for it. Daniel, I know you asked about the Christmas edition pipes. I think they're fantastic. And they're definitely out of the ordinary pipes. I had thought to carry them this year, but time and capital just got away from me. So maybe next year I'll carry some Christmas pipes. I decided to go with the Peterson Dracula pipes this year instead, and well, I guess that's it. But hopefully next year. Barton, I haven't gone through. I do have a shipment that I got last week. I'm still not through all of them. They came in a lot of boxes. I'm not sure if I have 642s in at this point, but I'll keep you posted. Oh, Stephen Skip is in the house. Morris Permanent Match Lighter. I have never heard of that. I'm going to open a window to search for that later. All right. Thank you, Jeffrey. Eddie, have you broken into those 7Cs 10s yet? The only one that I've broken into so far is the one on top, and that's the 7Cs regular. I've been comparing it with the Captain Black regular or white label. You can see the color. It's basically color coded to the Captain Black blends. So this is the equivalent, well, or the match, or their take on that type of blend. And so far, I've enjoyed this a lot. I've only smoked maybe 3 10s out of this. For an aromatic, it's been pretty well behaved. I think more so than the Captain Black regular. And very, very similar in room note and 10 note and flavor. All right. I wonder how much those permanent match lighters are. I'll definitely look them up. Volunteer Piper's already gone. Oh, sorry. Hope you enjoyed dinner. Nimrod lighters. You guys are just pulling out all the stops with stuff I don't know about already. Nimrod lighter. I'll search for that later. Oh, I know what those are. Do they still make those? I think those were popular in like the 60s, if I recall. They look nifty. Cliff, welcome. Oh no. Sorry about the sick kiddos. Stratman says, do all natural finish pipes color when smoked? Yeah, pretty much. I mean, all the ones I've had. I can't imagine one not coloring up as it's smoked over time if it's not finished with anything else. If it's just bare briar. Benjamin, I hate to tell you, but those commemorative pipes, I did send out an email about the last ones I had. That was over a month ago now. And they are gone. All sold within an hour, I think. I had 50 of them, 48 of them. They all sold super fast. Oh. Yeah, all over eBay for the Nimrod lighters. That's where I saw them before. And I thought they were nifty, but never picked one up. Yep, Russ, I would agree with that. The primary coloring agent is just from handling. Um, the heat, I'm sure, helps, but it's pretty much just from the oils in your hands. Um, so they can color differently, like in patches. So I try to kind of rub in here and around the shank where you don't typically touch to kind of fill in that darkening, color it up a little bit more uniformly. Yeah, Cliff, that Sans Poke grows nice. Greetings, France. Ah, Renaissance Piper must be. Yep. Have you ever done your own finish to a Savinelli unfinished pipe? I have not. I've heard other people, using like olive oil. Uh, I think one person said they use beeswax. Um, I'm, I'm not a woodworker, and I just leave that to the pros. I leave my unfinished pipes exactly that, just unfinished. Um, I don't believe there's any Perique in the Sanzapocro, you guys. I think that pepperiness might be coming from uh, whatever that different leaf is that's in the Sanzapocro. Kind of a cigar leaf. It's a small leaf floret from what I recall from the Sanzapocro region. Hence the name. Is Haunted Bookshop supposed to be Nick heavy? Uh, yeah. I don't know about supposed to be, but I think people who like nicotine heavy blends tend to prefer the Haunted Bookshop. That might be what I load up again. I broke open a tin of Haunted Bookshop for that Halloween live stream, and I haven't finished it yet. So no, I wouldn't say you're a lightweight, Benjamin. I definitely have to be careful with it. There's been a couple of times just this week I've smoked it on an empty stomach, and towards the end of the bowl, I get a little woozy. Um, hey, I was right about something. No Perique in Sanzapocro. Thank you, Hollywood Briar. Stratman, I have tried Royal Yacht, and I carry Royal Yacht because it has its fans, and you know, I was a big fan of the Dunhill brand of line of pipe tobaccos, and now that they're with Peterson, I was like, they didn't come back with all of the Dunhill blends, so I just decided to carry everything that they had available under the Peterson name. Um, it's not a personal favorite of mine, the Royal Yacht, but some people just absolutely love it. So, you know, potato, potato. I'm going to have to revisit it though because it's been a few years since I've tried it last. Um, oh, awesome. H Mark, thank you for finding that disc for me. What was that? Hollywood Briar. Einstein's favorite tobacco. Yeah, Revelation. I've never had the Revelation, but I really like Cornell and Deal's Epiphany, which supposedly is based off of that. Yeah, Benjamin, try the haunted bookshop again after, after a nice meal and see what it does for you. Now, I put just over half a tin of haunted bookshop away. This was like 3, 4 years ago, and because I didn't think it was for me. And when I revisited that tin, I found that I really enjoyed it. So my taste had changed over those 3 or 4 years as I started figuring out what I liked and didn't like. And of course, your palate changes too. So I would say, unless you absolutely hate a blend, jar it up if you know you're not going to smoke it now, and try it again a little bit down the road. Because I've been surprised more than once. O'Leary TM, welcome. Yeah, Piano Piper. The Rustica is far and away the most nicotine heavy tobacco I know of. I think it's more nicotine heavy than the Gawith Ropes. It's that Rustica is not to be trifled with. I was reading up on the Rustica plant, and supposedly that what's it called, Tobaccianum rustica, has up to 8 times the nicotine levels of standard um, tobacco used in pipe tobacco. So, yeah, it's not to be trifled with. Um, and I mentioned this, I think, in the last live stream, but there are other pipe tobaccos that aren't as nick heavy that kind of remind me of the Rustica. One would be Bold Kentucky from McBaron, and the other would be this John Cotton's Kentucky, which I've found is this might make my top 10 this year. This is my first and only 10, but I've really enjoyed this 10. I'm about halfway through it. How's this for being a bad businessman? I don't carry this stuff, but I'm shilling for it. So I've got about half of that brownie left, and it's been really nice. It smells like barbecue. It's smoky like Latakia, but it's a different kind of smoky, if that makes any sense. I don't know if I'm going to get around to loading a pipe, you guys. Okay, everyone freeze. Give me a reprieve so I can load this pipe up. And I've mentioned this recently too, but I've started marking how many bowls I load up on the top of the tins. So this is bowl number 16 out of this tin of Haunted Bookshop. And I'm more than halfway done with it, but I'm probably going to get to 20 bowls again. Whereas I used to just assume or estimate that I got between 10 and 12 bowls out of a 2-ounce can, like a Cornell and Deal style, American style tin. But I think I get double that now that I'm doing the numbers. I've only done this for a couple of tins so far. I did it for a tin of Old Joe Krantz, and then this. And I've got a couple more down there that I'm working on. But yeah, I think I'm getting, on average, about 20 to 22 bowls out of a tin. I'd be interested to know what other people do, like how many bowls they get out of their 2-ounce tins. Just to kind of compare, on an average size pipe, how tightly or how loosely you pack your bowls compared to other people. I have a feeling I pack my bowls on the lighter side than most people these days. All right. Oh, did I get? Yes, I did. I got a filter. All right, let me light up. All right. Now let me catch up with the comments. Jeremiah Johnson. Who the heck is Jeremiah Johnson? Should I know that name? Russ Hicks, you asked about the Dunhill blends under the Peterson banner. I have found no difference between those blends. They're not different versions. They're not tweaked versions from what I can tell at all. We were told they were going to be the same recipes made in the same facility, just under that different brand, and that seems to be the case. I'm happy to say. Benjamin, I would have thought Squadron Leader was older than that. But they quit making it? That's interesting. There are a couple of cellared tin or old discontinued tin websites. I can't remember any of them off the top of my head. Is one called Turbo Tin? That kind of rings a bell. I could just be making stuff up right now as far as the actual website, but I know there's a couple of them out there. eBay is definitely not the best place to look because supposedly you're not allowed to sell tobacco on eBay anymore, whether it's an open tin or not. T-Dog, what artisan pipe did you pick up? Whose was it? Yeah, that's where I had seen the Squadron Leader most recently was tobacco pipes. I am Neo. I don't really mix all that many blends together. And when I do, it's kind of just a convenience thing. I find a blend that I think needs a little extra Perique or this or that. I've mixed Pirate Cake with Haunted Bookshop and got the Haunted Pirate Ship. But I don't do a whole lot of mixing. I actually, I did some, about half a tin of Haunted Bookshop, half a tin of Pirate Cake, and then I mixed that with some exclusive so it had even more Perique in it. Was it? Yeah, it was exclusive. So I called it Sneaky Perique. Yeah, that's what I was thinking about, O'Leary TM, about the Galwitz Black XX. I've heard that's really nicotine heavy, but I don't think it's anywhere near that Rustica. Good grief, I just had about 20 comments come through. I gotta go to live chat. I'm on top chat now, and it doesn't work. Doesn't work for me. Old Dark Fired is my favorite blend, Kenjiro. Oh, T-Dog, I'm jealous of the ribeye. Have a good evening. $40 bowls per 10. That's light. That's a light pack right there. $20 bowls per 2-ounce tin. Yep. I guess that's about the average then, about 20 bowls. 20 to 25 bowls maybe. Over a pipe, I don't think anybody could fake the Stonehaven. Man, I love that stuff. Do I have any within reach? Yes, I do. This is 5 years old right here, this Stonehaven. It's what I've got left from an 8-ounce bag that I had. Let's take a look at some of this prettiness. Oh, I can't even open it. I'm gonna have to I'm gonna have to run some warm water over that or something. Can't get it open. Oh, there we go. Woo! Look at that. Stonehaven. Super thin flake. Look at that. Gorgeous. Mm-mm-mm. I never seem to be quick enough on the draw for the Stonehaven, so I treat that like gold. I probably only smoke a flake of it every 6 months. That's why it's lasted 5 years. I still don't know who Jeremiah Johnson is. I'm gonna have to look that up. Let's see. Jeremiah Johnson. Robert Redford. Okay. I'm not gonna argue because Robert Redford ain't bad on the eyes, as the ladies say. I've never seen that movie, Mountain Man, with Robert Redford. Russ, my McClellan stash is very, very small, so I haven't touched those tins since you can't get them anymore. Letting them age for a bit. I know Velvet has its fans, and I like it okay, but again, that's not one of my favorites. I would call that an aromatic, to be honest with you. And I just don't smoke aromatics all that much anymore. My O'Leary, I'm hard to hear, or sorry to hear that. You just got into piping after McClellan's gave up the ghost. My first actual good smoke was with McClellan's Oriental blend. I never knew that tobacco could taste like that, or smell like that, or act like that. I'd been used to just dried out drugstore blends nipping at me. That was a game changer, definitely, for me. And that was back when you had to, I had to mail order it. So that was before I really, really got into pipes and pipe smoking. That was probably back in 2000, gosh, 2012 maybe even before that. Hmm. Still buying on eBay. Interesting. I'm a wrench. Welcome, sir. Jeff Palmer, welcome. Oh, I probably missed you, but see you, Cliff. Yeah, there's something in velvet that gives me tongue bite, but I'm no stranger to tongue bite. But that one particularly nips at me. So I would advise a charcoal filter, and then it's a non-issue for me. Oh yeah, we do have a pretty good group tonight. And again, I'm having trouble keeping up with the chat. Benjamin, I'd agree with that. Well, personally, I think the half and half is better than the velvet. Don't tell, uh, don't tell Ben. The artful codger. You know, I'm holding on to this because I'm talking a lot, but I do clench a pretty good bit these days. And man, people talk about how the 320 you can't clench. I was clenching that 320 unfinished like a mad dog the other day. I think I smoked the whole bowl pretty much just clenching it. I don't know, for whatever reason it fits me. Yes, everyone is here tonight. And they're commenting. Piano Piper, I've never tried the Orient Express. Oh, I'm sorry. It's not by GLPs though. It's by Cornell and Deal, right? I used to carry Orient Express, and I traded it out with another Latakia blend. Um, if I'm thinking of the right blend. I think the Orient Express is by Cornell and Deal. And I mean, if you like Latakia, it just didn't stand out to me against other Latakia blends. Or even other Oriental Forward Latakia blends. Not a bad blend. But I think I think I traded it out for Star of the East and Star of the East Flake, which I do find that to be a much better blend overall. Uh-oh, am I froze up? Is Frog Morton worth the extra cost? 100 grams for $100? No. Not unless, I mean, I would say if it's your favorite blend, then maybe. Um, Now, if Old Darkfired ever went out of production and snuck up on me and I didn't have any in the cellar, I would probably pay $100 for a 100-gram tin of Old Darkfired if the tables were turned and it were my favorite blend. So I can't really answer that for you. I mean, it's worth what people will pay for it. Is what my dad always told me. Things are only worth what people will pay for them. It's hard to get mad at people for selling things at a high price if people are actually willing to pay that price. I heard the other day that Flappy Bird, the game Flappy Bird, got taken off. I think it was the Apple App Store, and people lost their minds. And other people were selling like iPhone 5s on eBay that still had Flappy Bird installed for thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars. Just insane. Well, where am I at in the comments? Guys, I'm so behind. Over a pipe, I do not use bits on my pipes. I used to for certain pipes, but I just took them all off at one point. No bit. Out of my three pipes behind you, in millimeter, which one is the widest diameter across? The three pipes behind me, you're talking about on this shelf right here, those are all 320s. So they're all almost an inch across in diameter. Probably about 0.9 inches. I knew what you were talking about over a pipe. You're talking about those softy bits. Like, I got one right here, an old one. I don't, I just, I prefer thinner stems. And so having that softy bit, I just don't like the way that it increases the size of the stem. So all my pipes have tooth chatter to some extent or other. Yeah, a pipe condom. I don't, I don't, like Rocky said in Rocky 2, condoms, I don't use them. How many of a tobacco you like is a good amount to cellar? Oh, wife and kids are at the door. It really depends on, well, it depends on how much you smoke, um, how much you like that tobacco, and how much you fear that it might come off the market. Um, I wound up cellaring up about 10 tins of Old Dark Fired each of the 1.75 ounce and the 3.5 ounce. I think I've got about 10 tins of each. So I'm good for a while on the Old Dark Fired. And those were all from like 2012, 2013. Well, I have some from 2015 as well, but I'm still going through the 2013 tins right now. So by the time I get to the 2015 tins, they might be 10 years old. Benjamin, I agree with the Mixture 79. Do not like it. Smells like perfume to me. I do not like it. Another blend that was similar but not as bad was the, oh, what was that stuff called? Edward G. Robinson's mixture. Has the same kind of profile, just a much lighter bit of it. And I can smoke the Edward G. Robinsons, but that Mixture 79, I have some still in a tin or in a jar. And I'll take it out and smell it every now and then just to remind myself how much I dislike it. That's the only reason I've kept it. Because I'm a forgetful person. Yeah, Star of the East. Storm and Norvin. I do think the Star of the East is much better than the Orient Express. Andrew, I hope you like the Honor Blend and the Maltese Falcon. Those are both solid blends in my book. How long can you keep tobacco canned? Matt, I would say anywhere, I mean, I haven't tested the top end of that. And you say canned, you mean in the original can. I would say 15 years minimum that you could do that, because that's Cornell and Deal's optimal cellaring time for a lot of their cellar series tobaccos. 10 to 15 years. And I would say even opened and you jar it in a mason jar, you could keep it 10 to 15 years, no problem. Most likely many more years than that, to be honest with you, if you keep it sealed. Um, the the censorship sucks. I have not had Lakeland Dark by Galwith. Does it have that funky perfume smell? Because similar to Old Darkfire, definitely has piqued my interest. There goes another jump. Lord have mercy. Is it worth it to cellar an aromatic? I would say no, Andrew. I've not noticed that aromatics improve with cellaring. That's my take. Yeah, I used to smoke a bowl or two a day, and now I'm smoking 3 to 5 bowls a day because I'm home all the time. And Kenjiro, I think you're right. For reasons, many of us are doing that. How do Navy rolls compare with a Scudo? Um, the Peterson Navy rolls, I think, are just a bit better than a Scudo. And I think possibly that's because the tobacco is aged longer. But don't quote me on that. I'm not 100%. They're both phenomenal. Virginia Perique, coins. Big Black, the Chenaise cake is right at the top end of what I like in a Perique blend. Any more than Chenaise cake in a blend, and it's too much for me. And sometimes I'll load up some Chenaise cake, and halfway through the bowl, I'm kind of like, maybe I wasn't in the mood for this much Perique. But usually it hits the spot for me. Boris, I'm with you. Vapors are great, but typically I'm wishing there's a little bit of dark fired in it as well. And independent sound, I would agree with your take on the Escudo being slightly brighter and the navy rolls from Peterson being slightly darker. There is a price difference there, though. The Escudo is a little bit cheaper. But I guess it just really depends. Do you think that darker and slightly sweeter navy rolls is worth the extra price over the Escudo? Well, I got another comment jump. Let me go back up. Golly. And OBX Piper, I think the Escudo being spicier is just because it hasn't aged as much. And that Perique, I think, marries a little bit better with the slightly more aged Virginias and the Navy rolls. PA Piper, if you're into Virginia Burleys, well, you said you like straight Virginias and straight Burleys. But if you like Virginia Burley mixes, and you haven't tried them yet, try the Briar Fox by Cornell and Deal and Sherlock Holmes by Peterson. Flatwater, I am now on live chat, but I go back and forth, and neither one of them work very well for me. Yeah, Steven, I'm a wrench. I've got a lot of aromatics in the cellar. God knows when I'll get to them. And yet, like an idiot, I'm still opening and trying new tins. I was just really curious to see how that McBaron's 7Cs line uh, fared with, against the Captain Black series. But I certainly didn't need to open up that tin or even order any of those tins. Just was curious. Jeffrey Alton Carter. Have a good evening. Yeah, Ed860, that's what I do. I scroll back just to see what I missed. Stratman, I would say that's a pretty fair assessment of dark fired. Kind of being like sour, slightly sour barbecue. More barbecue than sour, but yeah, I think you're right on it there. Russ Hicks, what's on your pedal board? I don't really have a pedal board anymore. Um, I really don't. I don't get to play guitar a whole lot anymore. And when I want to play with different effects, I've got a Fender Mustang 3, like the original version Fender Mustang. It does the trick. But yeah, I don't have much in the way of pedals anymore. I've gone expensive, I've gone cheap, I've gone expensive again and gone cheap again. And gone with and without pedal boards over the years. And right now I've just got a Korg tuner, like a blackout tuner. And I'm trying to think of the brand. I got some really cheap pedals a few years back that I still have. One's a tremolo, it's got a dog on it. And then one's like um, it's like a tube screamer. It's green. And I think it's just called Classic Overdrive or something like that. But I've got a Fender Princeton and a Fender Princeton with a overdrive pedal and the onboard spring reverb and a tremolo. It's about all I need. Oh no, my pipe went out. Maybe about that time, you guys. I'll try to relight once. Oh, of course that one's out. Almost like clockwork every 2 weeks while I'm doing a live stream. I do use that Mikazuki the most, so it runs out the quickest. OBX Piper, you probably saved a lot of money if you went straight to finding what you liked. Have I ever shown a 360 of the West Wing or the West Parlor? I haven't, and it's just way too out of sorts at the moment for me to do that. Yeah, PA Piper, that Mustang LT25, not a bad little practice amp, but I think that's the third version of the Mustang series. Mine is the first version. And I thought about getting a 2.0 version because it had the floorboard that's optional, but it had a um, couple of extra effects in it. One being a wah pedal with an expression pedal built into the floorboard. But man, I don't do enough. I don't do soloing, so I don't really need a wah pedal. Not that I don't want to do soloing, I just never took the time to get decent with it at all. Russ, I stayed away from the Princeton for years. We're talking about Fender amplifiers, you guys, but because it had a 10-inch speaker. But then the more reading I did on tones I liked on albums, so many of them came from the Princeton that I finally just tried one and just fell in love with it. Oh, went out again. MXR pedals are fantastic, and I don't mess much with delays, but that carbon copy delay pedal is amazing. "28 degrees in western New York, good grief." It is 69 degrees here in the West Parlor in Florida, North Florida. Russ, you have a 1965 Super. Well, no, you have the reissue, right? Not a 1965. Either way, that is a great amp. But yeah, very loud. I can probably put my Princeton at about a 6, and it's probably like a 2 on that Super. Flatwater, I've tried both of those. The Watch City 558 and the Old Dominion. Very good vapors. John, I'm glad you like those unfinished Savinellis. For the money, I don't think you can get a better pipe. Unless you want a prettier pipe. Which I have some of those too. But they don't smoke any better. They just look prettier. Wow, an original 65. That's a nice amp. I had a 78. My first amp ever was a 78 Blackface deluxe reverb. And it was a solid amp. But I bought it, or my parents bought it for me in the mid 90s. And my concern was I didn't think tubes were going to be made for all that much longer, so I wound up selling it. And now tubes are just as strong as they ever were. But at the time, everything was going to solid state. '72 Gibson Black Beauty. Nice guitar. Well, I don't think I'm going to try to relight that pipe very much or anymore, but Piano Piper, have a good evening. So, what else was I going to share with you guys? I was going to share with you what I've been reading. And I think that I might call it a night after that. PA Piper, I agree with that. But Fender solid state amps do have nice clean sounds. They're just not quite as full sounding. But I had an old Fender Red Knob. Actually, a buddy of mine had it. I played it a lot. But that Fender Red Knob amp had a really nice clean. I'm a wrench. Steven, have a good evening. Did I show my props? I have not shown my props yet. That's what I was about to get to. Oh gosh, a JCM 2000 Marshall. Yeah, that's what you got, Hollywood Briar? Playing any stadiums lately? You may, heck, I don't know. You're a man of mystery. But you probably haven't played any stadiums lately. Such being the case, the situation we're in worldwide. So I've been trying to get back into reading again, and after not reading I haven't read much in the past 2 to 3 years. So I thought, you know what, I need to get back into it with some bubblegum type reading. So I bought the Chris Claremont, Frank Miller Wolverine Limited series, which I haven't read in years and years. Awesome comic. Well, there's no words at all on that page. But yeah, it gets a little verbose here and there, as was the case with 80s comics. Really cool story. Storm and Norvin, I have not read Watchmen. I'm a Marvel man through and through, but I have heard that is fantastic as well. But I don't go the other side very often. Another one that I've started reading recently, I'm about 50 pages into this, um, is Dragons of Autumn Twilight. This is book one, and I believe a trilogy of Dungeons and Dragons books in the Dragonlance. What would you call that? Campaign setting, the Dragonlance setting. I wanted to read these when I was in middle school and high school and just never got around to it. This is my very first D&D book that I've ever tried to read. So far, it's excellent. Excellent. Let's see. Yeah, okay, so Dragons of Summer Flame is the fourth book in the series that was kind of, I guess, an afterthought after the original trilogy. It's not a choose your own adventure book, Barton. It's an actual novel. No, I'm not reading 50 Shades of Grey. I'm ashamed to say I listened to part of that and was like, nah, not for me. Just because back when that was hot, everybody was talking about it, and people would refer to me as Mr. Gray and would just start laughing. Typically women. And I'm like, what are you guys talking about? So yeah, I tried it. Not my thing. So Dragonlance is a campaign. Okay. Yeah, I used to love the Dragonlance artwork on those books from the 80s, like the original artwork. I wish I could find those. And the original Dragonlance, um, I think this is the original Dragonlance logo on the spine. For some reason, they didn't, it used to take up a good bit, like 20% of the cover. And I really liked that logo. Benjamin, have a good night. Um, Over a pipe, I have the first Forgotten Realms Drist book, if I'm pronouncing that right. But I'm going to get through this trilogy first. Um, yeah, just in time for the D&D talk, Horatio. Welcome. More like hello and goodbye. I'll be signing off pretty soon. A few more minutes. I've got something else to share. The Wheel of Time series by Robert Jordan. Huh, okay. I've also heard good things about, I think it's called The Way of Kings, but those are ginormous books. And I kind of wanted to get started with some lighter fare to get back into the reading habit, so to speak. Um, and that brings me to my next thing that I recently purchased on eBay. I graduated, or no, I did. I graduated in 1993 from high school, but I started high school in '89, just barely in the '80s. But I'm definitely a child of the '80s. And going into bookstores back in the day, you'd go into Walden Books or B. Dalton, and you'd see, even in the grocery stores, you would see these old science fiction digests sized books. And I decided, they sell these on eBay typically by the year. Of course, you can get them in singles or in lots of more than a year's worth, but a lot of sellers sell them by the year. So what I did was I decided to start with the year I started high school. So this is January 1989 edition of Analog Science Fiction and Science Fact. And this is a bunch of different kinds of sci-fi stories. Cool ads from back in the day. But I got a whole year of these. Analog science fiction. And then there was also Isaac Asimov's science fiction. And I picked up 1989's collection of those. So I'm going to try to read through some of these. Just figured I'd pick those up. Which, again, they're things that I always saw that I never tried to read. So I'm going to try to make up for that now. And if I get into them, I might buy 1990, 91, 92, and 93, you know, my high school years. And, you know, if it turns into a collection, I'll branch out from there into the older stuff and the newer stuff. These two, I believe, are still being published. But I always like the idea of them. But these are all like 192 pages each. And they come out monthly, or at least they used to. I think they're bi-monthly now. But you'd have to really be a hardcore reader, in my opinion, to read 192 pages a month per magazine. If you bought 3 or 4, you know, 2 or 3 of those magazines every month, that's almost 600 pages of reading, and that's without reading any books or any other magazines. But anyway, so that's my show and tell for the evening. The things I've been reading lately. Let's see. See if I've missed anything. I'm sure I have. Yep. Yes, The Way of Kings is by Brandon Sanderson. And I have a friend who tells me that is just far and away his favorite book. He just kept raving about it. So eventually I'm going to come around to that book. Oh. Top 5 vapor blends. Ugh. Definitely Deluxe Navy Rolls by Peterson. Speakeasy by Cornell and Deal. Drew Estate made one that's no longer available called Gatsby's Luxury Navy Flake. Escudo's probably in the top 5. My favorite Burley-based blend, Tyler, is probably Haunted Bookshop at this point. Probably. But, you know, it's got a bit of Virginia and a bit of Perique as well. Straight Burley blend, maybe Carter Hall, if I just want a Burley tobacco. Oh man, Flatwater Monty, you're singing my song now. The Dark Tower series is probably my all-time favorite series of books. Man, those are good books. And book one is not, like, for people who read book one, it's basically a short story of what's to come. It's a sketch of what's to come in that series, and it just gets better and better. Well, I would say the sweet spot for me was Wizard and Glass. That was book four. But uh, and I liked the way it ended. Some people don't, but I thought it was an excellent way to end the series. Um, but you know, even book two, the drawing of the three is like 10 times better than book one, in my opinion. Um, and then it just got so good after that. But yeah, my favorite in that series is probably book four, Wizard and Glass. The only Audible book that I've listened to from start to finish, and I did it because I was doing a lot of driving back in the day. I had an IT job, but I worked for a hospice provider, and we had branches that I would have to visit. From Pensacola, I would drive to Mobile, or I would drive to Panama City, um, as far as Tallahassee, which is a 3 hour drive, so 6 hours round trip. I listened to a book called The Pillars of the Earth. Can't remember the name of that author, but I don't know that I would have finished that book if I had read it, but it was really interesting, as an audio book. It's about the construction of a middle Middle Ages cathedral, which sounds completely boring, but it was a really good book, at least a good audio book, and it was written by an atheist, which I thought was interesting. Um, but I think it took place over about a 30-year time period, something like that. Oh, oh, when I stepped off screen, I got those science fiction book or science fiction magazines I wanted to show you guys. Hollywood Briar, I started Les Miserables a long time. I'm talking 15 years ago, and I never finished it. I think I think what happened was I spilled coffee all over my book and ruined my book, and I never replaced it. So I need to go back to that as well. It was very good. I got about 150 pages into it, um, and it was very good. I want to read more of his stuff. Victor Hugo, I believe, wrote that. Um, let's see. Russ, my favorite standalone Stephen King novel, as in not in a series. I haven't read all of his books. I haven't read them all, but and I like his nonfiction books as well. I've read Danse Macabre, and which is about the horror genre. I've read On Writing because I hope to write a novel or two one of these days. Um, my favorite standalone Stephen King novel. I would probably say The Stand. Oh, and Flatwater Monty said The Stand. The Stand and It are both great books, but It has some really disturbing things in it, and some things that were just truly terrifying to me when I read it. That was the scariest book I've ever read, I think. Stephen King's It. Um, but yeah, The Stand is probably a notch above Stephen King's It, and I've read the unabridged version that came out years after it was originally published, and supposedly it had 400 pages that weren't in the original publication, but I couldn't tell you what he would have cut, to be honest. I mean, it was just a great read from start to finish. Ken Follett did Pillars of the Earth, that's right. Well, guys, we're going to close up. I appreciate all you guys sticking with me tonight and being patient with me as I try to scroll through all the comments. Um, haven't read any Philip K. Dick. I really liked The Shining too, and it was also way different from the movie adaptation. All right, you guys. Bonsai Piper, if I'm able to do a live stream on Wednesday nights, I try to start it around 5:30 my time, which is Central. So around 6:30 Eastern, 5:30 Central. Over a pipe, I will try to catch that on Friday. All right. We'll leave it at that, you guys. Dinner time. And we'll chat with you again very soon. Good night.